Okay, we're back. Hello, everybody. It appears we had some technical challenges. I hope that this is working and that we are now live. Our apologies to those on YouTube. We were live there, but not on Facebook. So I don't know. I was told that we're in Mercury retrograde, so that must be what happened. Okay, I can see us on Facebook, so we're good to go. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this final episode of our 6-part Overcoming. I keep wanting to say overcoming objections, but maybe that's part of it too, right? But it's overcoming all of the challenges and roadblocks that we as entrepreneurs keep facing in our business. And I wanted to, start off by saying welcome and thank you to all of the wonderful guests who participated in this series. I am so grateful for each of you for sharing your insights and your strategies and your tips. That was monumentally informative and vital for every single entrepreneur to watch. And so you as a viewer, I hope that if you never got to see all of the episodes, please go back and look at the replays. They are all sitting there on our eVision Media page in the video section. And the reason for that is the reason why I created this series. I've been in this, eVision Media is celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, and I was kind of doing some retrospective.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was thinking about all of the wonderful, amazing, talented entrepreneurs that I've had the privilege and honor of working with over the years. And then I started to think about, some of them just, for what various reasons, we stopped working with them, or they just stopped running their business. And I started to think about, my gosh, why did that happen? And the more I started to think about the issues of why entrepreneurs struggle, I realized that there was a common element going on. And that common element was that they could not overcome those challenges and those struggles and those issues that they kept facing, and they just decided to quit. And so if you are thinking about quitting, about going back to your job or starting a new job, or you're just going, why does this keep happening to me? Is there something wrong with me? And we're here to tell you, all of us are here to tell you that the answer is no. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing that you have done that you should be criticizing yourself over. And the reason for that is that you are not alone. Everybody here, everybody watching today, we have all experienced that mind chatter, that negative Nelly, that mind monkey that keeps trying to argue with us and our goals and our dreams that we're doing the wrong thing, that it's going, see, I told you so. I told you you're a failure. I told you that you shouldn't have done this to begin with. I told you. And what is going on is what we've been talking about in this series. And we're going to wrap everything up today and kind of, wrap it all up in a nice little bow so that you can understand that it has nothing to do with your conscious mind and everything to do with your subconscious mind. And that's what we all were talking about in everybody's individual episodes, that there's that subconscious mind going on, and it's been there for many years, however long that you've been alive, and it's constantly at work. It's just like always trying to make you safe. And as soon as you start to walk outside of that safety zone, it's going, wait a second, lady or man or whatever. What the heck do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? And so I know I'm really, kind of wrapping that up in a very brief bow, but you'll get much more information if you watch the series. And you will find the series in the replay mode on our page. So today we are going to wrap everything up. I want you to officially welcome. I'm just seeing everybody on the screen here. We got Dr. Gina Locke. We've got Kathleen Carlson. We've got Lorraine Ellen Scott, Terry Schmidt, and Teresa Burton. And we're going to have a round robin of questions here and answers. And you, the viewer, I want you to help us get in, be a part of this. So if you have any questions at all that you want to ask any of our guests, please just feel free to do that in the chat, and we will address them. And if you have any comments, any insights, anything that you want to share about what's been going on for you, please let us know. But in the meantime, while we wait for you to type that in the chat, we're going to get started off. And Kathleen I have a question for you. Kathleen, aside from literally not having two pennies to rub together, and I know I've been there, done that, what's really going on when an entrepreneur is presented with an opportunity that truly would help them in their business, but they claim they can't afford it? What's going on?
Oh, Susan, that is such a good question, and so common, right? And sometimes it looks like, hey, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I promised my spouse I wouldn't spend another dime. I need to make money before I can do this. And, you talked about giving up and quitting. We all know mindset, right, is 90% of success. Guess what? It's also 90% of failure. And it's not necessarily equal to your talent. In fact, it's rarely equal to your talent, right? So there's some people that have way less talent that go way further, and it's mindset that takes them there. And there's people that, unfortunately quit and give up, and they maybe had more talent than a lot of the successful people. So it's wrapping your brain around, what's your money story? What are you really looking at when you say, I don't have a penny? And oh, I hate to hear those words, because you have to be so careful with your words, right? Because words become things, right? And so I would really challenge two things. If you're the person making the offer to someone that you absolutely know they need and will benefit them, is ask them that simple question. If money were not an issue, would this be the right program for you? And if you're on the other side of that, ask that for yourself. And then the second part of that, I would say to the buyer who, is hiding behind their money story, is remember that sort of the way you buy is also the way you sell. So you're an entrepreneur, you're out there trying to make sales and business yourself, and you're kind of creating an energy that says, no, not yet, I'm afraid, not now, or everything has to line up perfectly. That's the same kind of client you'll attract. So the cure to that is to figure out the mindset, challenge the mindset, and recreate the mindset around the money. That's those are the things that I think are going on. And they're umbrellaed under a lot of different stories, but it all comes down to mindset.
To that mindset. That's amazing. Thank you for that, Kathleen. Does anybody else have anything to add to that? Or did she just wrap it all up nicely?
I will say one other thing too, when you're because we're talking about entrepreneurs and business owners here, and because we tend to, as entrepreneurs, be working all the time, and everything in our life gets married into one big pot. It's sometimes hard to separate our personal and our business. And if I could go back to language for just a second, when you say I can't spend, when we're talking about our business, A better language is invest. Because there's a difference. I buy a purse, I'm never getting that money back. I got a purse. When I'm investing, especially in an amazing product like you offer, Susan, that will help and grow my business, I'm not spending that money. I'm using that money to make money. And that's a quick and easy mindset, I guess, to sort of challenge yourself with when you're finding those kind of money answers.
I love that. Can I add something?
Yeah, absolutely, Teresa.
What if the idea of the investment, it doesn't live up here, it lives in here? What if our hearts and our bodies know, like we have a gut feeling or a feeling that something is for us, and we're trying to figure it out, like, no, I don't have the money. I don't have the money right now. And we're trying to mind something that is really all about what is right for us in here.
Perfect. Yeah.
We
right
often,
along that, go ahead.
We often think that, you know, in the moment, oh, we're spending this money on this, but we're not thinking about that investment. Like you said, Kathleen, is that what is this going to help me grow? How is this going to help my business and my lifestyle? Because as an entrepreneur, like you said, I mean, life and business are intertwined.
Right.
Yeah.
And who can you help? To Teresa's point, when you drop into that heart, it's kind of like, okay, it's scary, yes, and it feels a little unsafe, but you're coming back to that why. What's in my heart? Who am I going to help? And if I don't do this, that's also a good litmus test. If I don't take this step, will my business grow? Will I be able to help the people I want to help? And that maybe will help you get out of that fear space that you're in.
That's awesome. Yeah, it literally does break my heart when I've talked with, you know, a potential client and we've had an amazing conversation, and she or he are so excited about the possibilities, about what we could do for them and how they can grow their business, and how I can just relieve them of that burden of having to know how to do it all themselves. And then I present them with the proposal and they go, oh my God, I can't afford that. And boom, they're gone. And I'm going, oh, gee, you know, I could do so much for you. I could help you, your business. I could exponentially grow your business and make so much more than what this investment is. But they're just like immediately shut off. And it just breaks my heart when that happens for them, not for me.
And that's where each of us, when we encounter those situations ourselves, can set our intentions. What is our intention for our business? What is our intention? Where can we find the money? You know, set it. Okay, I can't afford that. I think I can't afford that right now. I'm going to set my intention for how can I make this work? When can I make this work? And rehearse it in your mind. It's a possibility.
I love that, Terry, because instead of making it a negative, let's turn it into a positive. Okay, what do I need to do to make this happen? What opportunities, other opportunities do I need to take advantage of in order for me to be able to take advantage of this opportunity? Right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you all. Those are amazing responses. And please, audience, let us know what your thoughts are. Do you have anything that you want to say about that? Or do you have a rebuttal? Or do you have a yeah, but that's going on in your mind right now, right? Because it's so easy to listen to these incredible responses, but that monkey mind, that mind chatter is going, yeah, but they don't know what's going on in my life. They don't understand all the challenges that, you know, that I'm going through. So tell us if you have a rebuttal to that. But in the meantime, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to Lorraine. And actually what I'm going to do in the chat, I'm going to, as we're talking, I'm going to paste everybody's free giveaway that they were offering during the series. So in the chat, I'm going to paste Kathleen's free giveaway, which was a 60-minute discovery session that will leave you with clarity around what you really want and identifying what's keeping you from having it and knowing who you have to be and what to do to have what you want. So watch out for that in the comment section. And let's move on to Lorraine. Lorraine, Why do many entrepreneurs fall victim to the imposter syndrome, that they are waiting to be discovered as a fraud?
Oh, yeah, that one. I've experienced that as well. And really, what it boils down to is, I think, because working with heart centered people, is they don't want to disappoint the people that they're working with. I think that's a big, at least it was for me. And I really feel that when we're in a place of just being authentic and being real with ourselves, it gives us the opportunity to just say, we don't have to be the guru. We don't have to know everything. We're never going to know everything. I used to get really freaked out about, well, what if I can't answer the questions that they have? Will I then be seen as that fraud? And I think authenticity comes from just being honest. It's like, yeah, that's a really great question. I don't know the answer, but let's discover together, let's dig a bit deeper into it. And I really think that we're so focused on ourselves that we do kind of forget that it isn't about us. And if we're just authentic and show up as ourselves, damaged sometimes, improved, willing to learn. I think I learn more now from my clients and from the group sessions I do than I did in learning my craft in the first place. So I think you just have to release that perfectionism and thinking that you need to have all your ducks in a row before you can go. So yeah, that's a big part of it.
That is a big part of it. Thank you for that. I know that I've been guilty of that. And I think it's because I have that sense of perfectionism in my DNA. And maybe Gina can tell me if that's the case with my human design. And so I'm always really hard on myself. And and I'm going to counter your response a little bit, Lorraine, because I think this is important to clarify about the authenticity part. I absolutely agree to be authentic. But is there a point when we have shared too much of our vulnerabilities, of our feeling, inadequate or anything like that? Because, my jam is brand positioning. And as human beings, we are automatically judgmental. Immediately, we're judgmental. And if we see a post that shares way too much information about somebody's personal life, or their downfalls, their problems and their issues, we have the potential to judge that person of going, oh my God, I would never hire that person. Look at all the damage that they're going through, all the crud that they're going through. How could they possibly help me if they're going through so much problems? Can everybody, relate to that and share what your thoughts are?
Well, definitely, there's, you need to filter some things. People don't need to know everything. There's that acronym TMI for a reason. But it's also about you're sharing authentically, and vulnerably, but you're also giving the solution to it. So it's not just saying, oh, I've got this thing going on, but it's like, I had this issue or block, and this is what I did to overcome it, and here's where I am now. So you're always following through with that solution. That makes a big difference. But that authenticity piece really allows those potential clients to realize that, oh, you're real too. I would rather invest money, thank you, Kathleen, invest money in someone who has been through something and overcome it than someone who's all polished and maybe didn't have that street smarts that got them where they are now.
Yeah, perfect.
And the other part is, even if people are sharing, it depends on the energy, right? If someone is sharing for attention or from a, let's call it a victim mindset, that has a different feel to it.
Exactly.
And I mean, I know people who I love and admire who are sharing, I'm going through this right now. I know I'm going to get to the other side, but boy, I'm not clear how I'm going to get there. And it's also that, like the in-process version of, holy crap, is anybody else feeling this? Here's what I'm trying to do to get there. So I love your point about the authenticity, and then just what's behind it.
Yeah, great point, Teresa. Great point.
I felt like Lorraine said in a really nice way of that when you share with the intention that you're there to help someone else, to be able to work through something that they may not know how to work through, and they can see a role model in you, that you've been through it and you made it through it, no matter how difficult it was. And it wasn't being a victim now. It was just what it was. And now I was able to find the tools through perhaps one of us or through Susan, that is the right tool to help me move to being where that coach is now. That I'm able to look back upon this and go, wow, I'm able to do so much more than I was able to do before I understood it. But we actually needed someone to understand the depth of our pain, the depth of our fear, and the fact that we were repeating patterns we didn't even want to repeat, but we didn't know how to get out of them. So Lorraine explained it perfectly.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
And I just want to, can I just clarify? Totally, yes. Like, when we want to tell our story and show the journey that we were on, the before and the after, so that people can relate to, that they get us, they understand that, what we're going through. And I think maybe what I had in my mind was social media posts and somebody presenting themselves on social media, whining and complaining about, the problems and the challenges that they're going on in their business, or, something about going on in their life. That's where I think that we need to be very careful about what we post on social media and make sure that, it isn't giving the wrong impression that, oh, this person's life is a mess. Why would I work with them? Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I love what you said, Lorraine, when you said, what you got to realize to fight that imposter syndrome is it's not about me.
That's right.
And when you feel that in every inch of your body, then your authenticity has an easy way to come out. And, you said we've all been there, right? We all worry, is my hair, my this, my that, because we do judge, like Susan said. We judge people, you got 10 seconds and they make up their mind about you until they get to know you. And when you can break down those walls, they can get to know you. But what's really, I think, sort of brought me around is I started watching people and I started thinking, who am I really attracted to? And I wasn't attracted as much to the perfectly polished everything, look at my jet outside, my beautiful 7 homes, all that. It's kind of like, okay, in fact, that makes you kind of shy away, right? You don't belong with them is how you feel. I think when you can just get down and dirty and say, look, here's what I'm going through. And here's the steps I'm taking. I'm open to any suggestions. That makes you so much more human. And I know for one, I don't get on and go, oh my gosh, did you see she had 3 hairs out of place? I'm way more interested in them. And I think most people are. So give ourselves a break. We're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah. And I think just to quickly make a point about that, because, I'm looking out always at this from that brand positioning perspective, is that it's really important to know who your target audience is. Who is your client that you want to be working with, and what are they needing and wanting and expecting from you? Because they might need and want and expect that perfection, or they might need and want and expect you to be, just on the opposite end of that scale. So it's really important to understand how you come across needs to appeal to and be relevant to your ideal target audience. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody, for that response. And Lorraine, we've got a free giveaway for you that we've posted into the comment section. So please, everybody, take advantage of Lorraine's 15-minute step into your greatness call. And she will help you turn your blocks into superpower. So, that link is in the comment section. So go ahead and sign up for that. So next up, we're going to talk to Gina. And Gina, I want to know, we all want to know, what the heck is monkey mind? I've been referring to that all throughout the call. And what can we do to tame that beast so that we can get on with what we're here to do?
Well, monkey mind, actually, when we look at our minds, we actually have three parts of our mind. The first part is the lizard reptilian part of us, which is those automatic responses like breathing, or if we have burned our hand, we move our hand away really quickly. That part of us is in the cerebral cortex, and it was in our stem, this where our stem comes apart. It is automatic. It is what reptilians do. They do not have other things that they respond to. They just respond to the immediate thing, whether it's breathing, taking a breath of air or not. The next part is called the monkey brain. And the monkey brain is that brain that goes on automatic response. It just responds to everything that's coming in right now. And when you get in the habits of responding in some repeating patterns that are not helping your life, but your brain automatically responds to that no matter how much is coming in. The more that comes in, the more you just go into automatic mode. So when they say monkey chatter or monkey brain, they're referring to those automatic things you do without thinking about it. And it's just something you're doing. You can drive your car, listen to music, and all of a sudden put your arm out to stop a child from falling forward or doing something. Take a drink with your drink with a straw. You can do three things at once. But it's because you have an automatic place where you've already learned how to drive the car, and you've already learned how to take a drink, and you've already learned how to do all those things. So it becomes automatic repeating patterns. We have a lot of automatic repeating patterns of those thoughts that continually come into our brain, are things that we're responding to, whether it's media, news, forecast, anything that's showing up in us that creates a negative response. That monkey brain goes on faster and faster and faster. And it's hard to slow it down and stop and go, is that really who I am? And is that really what I'm thinking? Or am I just responding in the moment to what that is? And the last part of our brain is the most complex. It's the human part of our brain. It's where our logic is and our emotions and how we stop and look at the delayed gratification. So we stop and look at emotionalist thought. It's when we stop and look at it as like, is that real? The Katie Byron type work. Is that real? If I keep asking those 4 questions, if I actually get down to it, is that really going to happen? And so for that, when we look at monkey brain, oftentimes when we're going into monkey brain, we're going into responses that are not our instincts like breathing or run from the bear if there was a bear or that type of thing, but the automatic responses of to do all of these little things without thinking about them. So we're not looking at the consequences of what those may bring. Monkey brains are really tough for us. And the programs where I work, which is human design and energy work, we really stop and look at why those happen. And each of us have certain designs in our human designs. And we have ways that we do things and that we've been energetically wired from the creator, from God, that shows us the ways we actually use that monkey brain and the way we use our other. We go through a whole process of saying when it's a really important decision or even a decision that's important to you at that moment, then can you use a different part of that to be able to do it? And those are called authorities. And we teach each person how to use their authority to be able to do it, to let go of the monkey brain and say, oh, wait, is that actually what I need to do? And to actually go in and look at how they're energetically wired. Because many times when we're in really low places, the monkey brain's controlling every component of us except for the way we breathe and when we need to eat a little bit of food because we're super hungry. But even we may not be hungry. The monkey brain just says we're hungry because the time is a certain time on the clock. Or we had an emotional response to something that showed up. And the last time that showed up, or when we were a child and it showed up, all of a sudden we knew that food satisfied that emotional response. So whatever that may be, we stop and look at it from that angle. But it's one of those things that it's the common terms that are used in common. It's not the psychological terms that are used, but when you hear it, recognizing is that turning off your monkey brain is allowing yourself to get more authentic to who you are. Oftentimes breath work will help. A deep breathe. When you hear someone stop and say, now take a big breath, and all of a sudden you slow down, you're really working your vagus nerve and slowing that monkey brain down and letting all of a sudden you get present in your body and dealing with who you really are and how you really want to respond, not how that monkey wants to respond.
Oh, thank you. So have I been using the wrong term then when I talk about them? Maybe it's
The monkey brain is when it's like the chatter, chatter, chatter. It's everywhere. We just can't stop it. We have it. We like everything that comes in. So I'm in an unusual place today, in a different place. And I literally turned everything. So I had nothing to respond to outside of me, because my monkey brain would go and be running all over the place to respond to this thing or that thing. And all of a sudden I had to turn off everything to respond to, so I could sit still. And because I didn't have my normal office space today where I felt my comfort zone. But monkey brain's where it's chatter that you can't slow down and you can't stop, and it's not helpful. It gets us through life every day. It may help you get the bath for your child. It may help you get in your car and drive where you need to go. And then there's times when, if you're on a place where you're wanting to lose weight, that monkey brain's not really helpful on telling you what foods to eat. But that for another person who doesn't have that challenge, monkey brain may be fine for them to be able to do that. So monkey brain is great for components of our life. And when it comes to decisions where we want our life to be changed, the monkey brain is not going to help us get there. The monkey brain is going to respond in the way it's responded in the past, whether it worked or whether it didn't work. It's going to respond in the same way because it doesn't know any different. So we have to slow down, take our breaths, get really present, and look at who we are. In human design, we stop and look at why our monkey brains, for each of us, for some people, they don't seem to have as many problems with it. And then other people are like everything coming in, and we show people how that happens. And yes, Susan, I can tell you in your human design why you have to be a perfectionist. It's quite obvious in your chart, my friend.
Yeah, I can't imagine not being perfect. Not me being perfect, but what I do being perfect.
Perfectionism, it's literally almost the name of the game.
Yeah, it's right at the top there. So I know everybody's itching to say something too, but I have one more question about this. So the monkey brain and all that, that's all related to our subconscious, right?
So a monkey brain runs in the background and we aren't recognizing it. So when we are letting our subconscious just controlling our thoughts. So when you've talked about overcoming our roadblocks that we're doing, we actually just go to those roadblocks and do it the way we've done it in the past without actually the subconscious is running it. So the monkey brain is like just running it for us to get through that without even, how many times have you driven somewhere? As I taught psychology class, one of my first things in the first few weeks would be, come to class that day and a pop quiz was, how many red cars did you see on the way to class today if it was driving? And if they walked, how many did you walk through in the parking lot? How many yellow cars, or trucks or whatever? And I would just give them a list of different ones. I said, you can pick any one of these, and how many did you see? And of all the years teaching psychology, I had one student who said, I saw a red car today. And he stood up, he said, I don't know how many times it's been there, but it ran the stop sign and it almost hit me. And it's the first time I've ever noticed it. And it was the first time somebody could ever tell me how many red cars unless they owned one themselves. So that's how your brain just like sees them, but they don't do it. It's the subconscious doing that. We stop and look at, how do we slow that down so that we can become more conscious of what we're doing, and we allow, and I think Teresa will talk about this even more, how we become present with who we are and live from within, how we are energetically wired is how I work with it and do energy work as well. But how do we actually connect with source to do what's our way that we do it, not just the way society does it, because we literally just run on an automatic process. I think of it as those new vacuum cleaners that go around the house and vacuum. And I have a friend who has one, and we don't have one. And I have a friend who has one, and there's these places that it's dirtier, and it actually is very interesting. I asked one day if she liked it. And she said, yeah, it just doesn't get those places that are dirty as good as I want to. So I still run the vacuum over them. And that's the point of it, is because it's running over everything, but it's not getting the spots that really need it. So sometimes we want to go out of that monkey into that chatter and go and stop and slow down and say, what do I really want? What is in my highest and best interest? How do I do this? What is going to be best for, when it's usually really truly best for you, it's truly best for all when you really look at it from that sense. So that's where monkey brain is, but we oftentimes don't realize how much the chatter is running our lives.
Wow. Does anybody else have anything they want to share about that?
Actually, I want the fact that Dr. Gina, you mentioned that, the monkey brain has a function.
It does.
And I'm always looking at the positive side of things. So knowing it's not the enemy and that it's okay, it's there, but it has its purpose, it has its function. So do your thing, monkey, and then I can focus on what I'm actually supposed to do. So that is something I really picked up on, and knowing that it's not like, ooh, I got to be aware of this monkey everywhere, but it's like,
It's not
it has
evil.
its function. Now I can just focus on what I'm supposed to do and be more aware. So thank you for
So
that.
if we were cooking dinner, and as each of us as women, we may cook more, but if we were cooking dinner, could we actually sit and tell somebody how we cooked that meal, or even what we had the night before? So as that's going on, it's one of those concepts where we stop and look at it from the angle of, do you really have to remember every little detail? Monkey brains make you not have to remember every detail. But when it's something important to us, when you're in a place of, this is really important to me, are we going to let monkey brain control it? Or are we going to stop and go to within ourselves and do that from an angle of what is for our highest and best? Because sometimes monkey brain, it really is not our enemy. It's just when we let it control every component of our lives. It controls what we watch on TV. It controls what we don't watch. It controls what we read. It controls how we speak to our children. When it's doing, if there's something important to you and you aren't enjoying your relationship with your children or your spouse, perhaps it's time to stop and say, monkey brain, you're not working on this one. How do I approach this differently? And you would go to maybe a relationship coach. And if money wasn't working and monkey brain was telling you how to spend money, you might have to call Kathleen. It might be a really good idea, because she's going to help you let the monkey brain stop and cease from doing so much on that. And that's just where it's not our enemy. But we have to recognize it has a place, and how much of it do we want it to let it control the big things in our life. Now, when we're happy with our life, I'm not real worried about monkey brain when somebody's happy and their monkey brain's working. But when they're unhappy with their weight or their relationships or their money or their health or whatever it may be, the monkey brain's controlling something that is not beneficial for them in the long run. We use in human design, we go through it from another angle, many angles, to help them understand why that occurs and why your monkey brain is different from somebody else's monkey brain. And that trigger didn't impact Kathleen, but it impacted Gina, or why that thing may have happened and where that comes from and why that comes about. So perfect question. Thank you, Lorraine, for asking that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does our audience have any questions about monkey brain? It sounds like it's it's a very interesting topic, but one that's so important. So let's see if anybody in the audience has any questions about that. And meanwhile, does Teresa, Terry, Kathleen, is there anything that you want to say about monkey braining? Monkey braining.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Gina, this is such a fun topic. I love to talk about the monkey mind. And I made friends with my monkey mind. I have to say that. And I actually have found that I sort of treat him like a naughty teenager, that sometimes gets into mischief. And like you say, when things are going great and he just adds to it, it's like, okay, that's great. But when he's trying to sabotage, I find myself, and maybe I shouldn't say this online here, but I find myself just having a conversation, and it usually goes like, hey, I know you're trying to protect me. Susan said our mind's there to protect us and to keep us from harm. And, that's how it was developed, right? But I know you're there to protect me. But right now, I'm going to do this, and your negativity is not helping me. So how about you go find some reasons why I should be doing this? Or I sort of give it an assignment. And for me, I find that sort of quiets that monkey mind, so I can get back into the space that that I want to operate from. And that's probably a little crazy, but that's what I found that works for me.
I don't know if it's crazy. My monkey mind likes to make lists. So before I wake up, before I get out of bed in the morning, I let her go. You go, girl. You make all those lists. And she's thinking about all the things she hasn't done, all the things she needs to do. And I'm just like, give it something shiny to play with. You go make that
There you
list.
go.
I'm not actually even writing these things down, but it's just like, okay, my inner achiever is just going to go make a list. All right, girl, you go.
Exactly.
I love that, Teresa. I love that you don't even write the list down, because that happens to me too. I thank you for permission to just let her go.
Right? Like you're going to do that. You're going to do that. You're going to take care of that. And go ahead, girl.
I love that. It's so true. The monkey
Exactly.
it doesn't try to judge. It just is. And it is from our experiences in our past. And it just tries to associate everything with what it already knows.
That's right. It'll do a lot of oughts and shoulds and musts, as Teresa just mentioned. And some of those oughts and shoulds and musts are no longer in her boundaries. And you'll hear them, or you'll feel them, or you'll experience them inside your body. And I ought to, I must, I should. And you're wanting just to say, no, I don't really want to do that. But you have so many pressures from the outside. So I think that I understand that the concept of it for many people is just to recognize that what you're experiencing, everybody gets it. There's nothing wrong with you. It's more of a matter of learning how to utilize that to your advantage in the long run, to learn how to stop and say, okay, I get it. But it's not how I want to. It's not how I want to do this. I really want to hire a coach, business coach, and I really want to do that. So I'm exploring. I get it. You say I don't have the money, but you know something? Let me go explore. Let me see what I can find out, and have the opportunity to go there. So it's really interesting as we do that. It's not our enemy, and we can make it our friend, and we can allow it to be that girlfriend who chattered the whole time, that never stopped. And you just learn to tune them out, and being able to stop and say on there that everything she said wasn't important to me, but I was able to let go of it, and starting to stop and really get clear on your values and what really is important to you. Because monkey brain is responding to what society has taught us, or our parents have taught us. And it's responding to those things that have come in our lives, those events, those terrifying events that have come up. And if someone who has been hit all of a sudden has another person who raises their hand like this at them, they will go into monkey brain, and the monkey brain will tell them how to respond to get away from that situation, or how their emotions will show up. And recognizing that this person who raised their hand was waving at you is a whole different concept. But for someone with that's giving a person an opportunity to look at everything a little differently. So yeah, I think all of us deal with it, and everybody has a way of talking about it.
So Daniel Simmons in our chat has a question. He says that I find even just a few minutes of walking, meditation, or mindful breathing can bring you into the present moment. Can you recommend any other exercises? And then he continues on, even just a few minutes of walking, meditation, or mindful breathing can bring you into the present moment. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh,
I would love to say something about that. Tapping. Emotional freedom technique is a great way to release the chatter and the thoughts, and you can tap away of what's coming up for you, and it really just kind of resets your energy and your thoughts, so you're clear and you're ready to just get on with your day.
Yeah. I can give you a super, super fast one. It's great if you can take a walk, do the breathing and tapping, as you say, but sometimes you're kind of up against the pressure zone and you've got to go. And I have a one statement, I guess, neutralizing statement that I can use. It pops up and I go, isn't that interesting? And the brain doesn't know what to do with that, because when you ask a question, the brain always has to answer. When you make statements, the brain goes on and pals on, right? Shows you why you're no good, shows you why you can't do it, blah, blah, blah. But when you just stop, for me, when I go, isn't that interesting? There's like a silence that just neutralizes, and then I get to go from there. So it's, 5 seconds and you can get back in where you need to be.
There's some wonderful tools out there, and I think Kathleen's is one. Lorraine has one. I'm sure the other two ladies have some as well. One that I used oftentimes is some kind of a touchstone that if you know monkey brain goes crazy when all of a sudden's happening, if you can have something you touch that you actually touch. So you could have an earring for you, those who are women, you touch your earring, and that's a reminder to you to come back into my present body. I just said,
like that.
And so, and for me, I have a statement when I pick up monkey brain big time in big box stores. I go to a big box store and I just pick it up and I walk out to the parking lot and I have a beep beep on my car when you get ready to open the car. So I hit the beep, touch my handle, hit my beep beep, go beep beep, and I just stop and go, I'm Gina. I'm only Gina. And none of that other stuff's important. And then I beep it again.
Oh.
And that beep is almost like it's like a energetic discharge. But my beep beep works for me from big box stores. When I'm home, I literally will just go try to stop and walk. I often do walking like Daniel does. And I will do a couple of breaths sometimes, just the, and I call them 7-11s. I breathe in for 7. I hold for just a moment and I blow out for 11. And then I just say, I'm Gina and only Gina. And I really don't want to listen to that. And then it's like, okay. And I've got back in my body. I am statements are oftentimes going to bring you back. These are all good tools. That's why everybody has a toolkit that works for them to be able to develop what you use best for your own technique. Some people have to go get in an Epsom salt bath. Some people need to have a massage. Some people need to exercise and go do something that's very, very concentrating on their muscles. There's so many other ways, meditations, many projectors in the world will just need to go lay down for a few minutes and put their feet up. A projector will do so well just from laying down and putting their feet up. So anyway, toolkits are awesome, aren't they? Thank you for asking, Daniel. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Terry, don't you have a trick in your toolbox about this as well?
Yes, I do. There's actually a couple. One was the free gift that I designed called Confidence on Cue. And it's because it teaches you how to create an anchor, as I think it was Dr. Gina who said, touch your earring or something physical, right? Something that triggers an emotional response that brings you back to the present moment. Or in this case, as I wrote it up, it could be something that gives you a little bit more confidence. And there's a step-by-step guide that I created that you can follow. And you can say it for confidence. You can say it to stop your monkey mind chatter in any given situation, depending on what you want to create. What is that emotional feeling you'd rather feel than all of the discourse and the tension that comes from that monkey mind? So there's one technique. There are others. The mental rehearsal is huge in my mind.
It's wonderful.
So
this year I had my husband who was having some monkey brain stuff on the topic. And this year we went and took pictures of him in his most sacred place. He wouldn't call it that. That was my word. But in his place where he feels the highest vibe, where he feels really good about himself and he's excited about life. And I took a picture of him in that location and I asked him to put it on his phone. So it's the screensaver on his phone. And we all touch our phones so many times a day. And every time he touches it, I said, just go back and think about that. I said, just do me a favor, just for the next 2 weeks. And we've been doing it for 2 weeks. His spirit and attitude have totally changed even for January, just by looking at this picture of this location, of this place. With him doing what he loves, he goes back to that vibration. So Terry's statement of what she's teaching, if a picture will help you do it, then add it to your phone screen where you see it. And when you open it, that's mine. It is. That's where I go back to. There's something at this spot in this place that's super special. And I literally go there. Terry's describing that so well. It's a touch. We call them touchstones in my world. And she's calling it something else, but use it. It is so effective for anybody whose love language is physical touch, and anyone who has the love language of that are acts of service. There's several of those love languages that do really well with that particular thing.
That's That's awesome. It sounds like we should have a whole show just about monkey mind, because I know that we could go on quite a bit. And Stephanie in the chat just mentioned using your laptop background as well instead of just
Mine
the
is.
phone. So I think maybe we need to have another episode just talking about monkey mind. But for the sake of timing, we're going to have to move on. But before I do that, Gina's got her free giveaway, which is a human design chart, which will give you the aha moments that might surprise you. And Gina did my human design chart, and it really was revealing, as we've been hinting about today. So check out in the comments for the link to grab that. And since Terry had mentioned it, I know that Terry's URL is also in there about her confidence on cue download, and it's meant to help you feel more confident at any time that you need it. So go ahead and look in the chat for that link for Terry's download. But first, let's ask Teresa a burning question. So during the series, we addressed a variety of roadblocks that many entrepreneurs and business owners face. I find that I can be really guilty of this myself, that procrastination is a part of it. So do you agree? And why do we tend to procrastinate when we know it's what we should be doing?
I love this question, and I'm going to try to answer it. I'm going to talk really fast because Terry and I both have answers to get to questions before you guys leave the stream today. So I like to think of it in terms of my fight, flight, or freeze gets activated. My mind has made a picture that a thing is hard or difficult, or it just sounds like something I don't want to do. So we procrastinate because we made it up. We made that something is going to be hard. We made up that we don't want to do something. We made it up. And guess what? The beauty in that is if we made it up, we can unmake it up. Each of us have saboteurs, and these saboteurs fall into different categories. If you're a fan of the Enneagram, or I do positive intelligence work and energy work, and there are these different places where our saboteurs. You're a perfectionist, Susan. You'd be like, it's not going to be perfect. I will wait until it is. I like to call that procrastination. I'm going to do all these other things before I get to the thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to clean my office before I actually start filming my podcast. Have I cleaned my office? No. Y'all see the screen behind me? It's covered up. I'm a procrastinator. So we create fight, flight, or freeze in our minds because there isn't actually something coming at us. We have created, our minds believe one of two things: what we tell it and the pictures that we make. So what we can do with procrastination or prep-crastination, where you're doing the thing, but you're not doing the thing, we can actually start shifting the picture. One of my favorite psychological ideas is there's aversion, which is what you do when you're not doing a thing, but there's also like starting to do a thing at a time. So even if I picture that doing my taxes is going to take me 1,800 hours and it's going to be really hard and I'm going to hate it and I'm going to feel really guilty or bad or wrong or all of these things, spend 15 minutes. If any of you work out, and I've been a professional martial artist, I opened a studio in the late 90s, go to a thing, do 10 minutes of a thing, do 25 minutes. There is another brain technique where you focus on something for 25 minutes and then you're like, I'm breaking. And your brain goes, yeah, we're on a break. I like this. Because who doesn't love break? Brains don't love the idea of work, but we like fun. We like breaks. So being able to procrastinate, again, don't fight it. Own it. Laugh at it. If you did not notice, I'm all about the light of heartedness because that's what brings the light in. So the couple of things that I would suggest are figure out where you're sabotaging. Is it perfection? Is it avoidance? Because it's going to be a conflict. I don't want to have conflict. I don't want to have to look up all of those things. I might not know how to do it. Is it because you're an overachiever and you don't know how you're going to achieve this thing? The how hasn't made itself known. Figure out those options. I've offered in the free gifts a way to do an assessment to figure out which saboteurs are most likely to show up for you. I'm happy to go through that with you. I know I'm talking really fast. I apologize for that. But then also recognize that you can create a different mindset. You can create a different picture in your mind. You can say something else. I have a sticky note that says, I do the tough things first. Who am I? I do the tough things first. Do I really? Not always, but sometimes. But I am changing my identity. I do the tough things first.
I love that.
You're speaking my language, girl. You're speaking my language. Oh, does anybody else have anything else to share about procrastination?
Oh, I just love that, Teresa. It's like, I think there was a book or something called Eat the Frog. You just have to eat the frog first. It's the worst thing you can think of. And you start your day off, and instead of, oh, I'll get to that later, do 2 things that will move you forward in that direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I like everything Teresa said. You crammed it all in there, and it all made sense to me. And yeah, lighthearted is how the light gets in. And yeah, it's so true. Make it fun. Life is about joy. Like, and as soon as you come from that point of view, it seems less like work, and it's more like, hey, there's a doable thing here, even if it's incremental.
Well, that was very revealing for me, because I know procrastination for me is when I don't have the clarity that I need. And I guess that probably comes from the perfection. I don't have everything all figured out first, and therefore I'll put it aside because I know I need more time to figure it out, and then it just never happens. Or it does, but way too late. Yeah.
I think you speak for a lot of people that go through that. So, and to have permission to just do it for 10 minutes, do it for 15 minutes. And you'd be amazed. You turn around and you're like, wow, I got more done than I thought I would. So,
and it didn't suck.
Yeah.
And I didn't suck.
That's important.
Thank you. And amen, ladies. Amen.
Oh, that's incredible, Teresa. So we've got your free giveaway, the mental fitness assessment. The link is in the comment section. So please grab that. It sounds like we all need to grab that so that we can understand why we procrastinate. And Teresa provided some excellent tips on how to get over procrastination, because I think that is a real challenge for business owners, is that procrastination. And so Daniel just mentioned here, great talk, Teresa. Instead of throwing myself right into a massive project, I break tasks into manageable steps and give myself permission to make mistakes. Well, there you go.
Beautiful.
So that's what it sounds like. That's what we all need to do.
Yeah, if you could just come over to my house and start working on the bookshelves, that would be really appreciative, because they need organized.
Oops.
And here's the authenticity piece.
Authenticity.
Perfect. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that authenticity, Teresa, that we're not all perfect. There are reasons why screens are behind us.
That's right.
Oh, so last but certainly not least is Terry. And Terry, our burning question for you is, what can we do to quiet the mind and help us move forward each day?
Great question. And we've touched on it here and there. Everyone has said their piece, a little bit of what can help each of us. I think really it's key to, first of all, just recognize it. Recognize that's my monkey mind. That's that voice in my head. That's, it's procrastination. It's something I don't really want to do it, do I? First of all, you recognize it for what it is. You acknowledge it. And, for me, I like to thank it. Thank you, mind, for keeping me safe. It doesn't want to do what it's not familiar with. The mind wants to keep us safe. It wants to conserve energy, as it's been said today. So, recognize it, acknowledge it, and thank it. And then someone said, give it a job. I thought that was brilliant. Give it a job, give it something else to do. But basically, you want to move your attention to what is possible. If here's this thing I need to get done, what is possible if I do it? What is the great outcome that's going to happen if I just get this done? Not, that I have to get this done, but rather, if I get this done, then you can picture that mental image of how your life becomes easier and how things in your business become easier. So take those, and maybe it was Daniel that said, break it down into individual tasks. Now, give that each one of those tasks a mental picture, because our mind loves images. So picture it being done already with ease. Don't worry about how you're going to get there at the moment. Just picture yourself already having done it, and how wonderful that feels. So, and give each one of those tasks a little mental image. And then you can go ahead and, as you do those actions, it really solidifies those brain things. Sorry, my dog just came in. It really solidifies everything in your mind as you're building those neural pathways for success. So you picture it, and then you do it. And each time you take you do something and it has a great outcome, celebrate it. Recognize that. It wasn't so hard. We got that done. Look how much I can, if I can do this, I'm certainly can do that. Picture the big picture being done already, and just how great it is. Give yourself that mental image, and then go back and do those tasks one at a time with that image.
I so love that. And I love how all we need to do is just shift to the possibilities and the positive end, instead of dwelling on the negative and all of the things that could go wrong and could be bad or whatever. Let's just shift it to the positive.
Right. And you can do that if you're a person that meditates and you're going for a walk, keep those mental images going. If you are a person that does self-hypnosis, boy, that's the really powerful way to get it in there at a subconscious level quickly. If you're a person that's just doing the dishes, or you're doing your own driving somewhere, keep those images all very, very positive, and associate a great feeling with it.
Yeah.
Really helps.
Yeah. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I love what you said, Terry, about the celebrate. Because I think people wait until it's the total finish of whatever it is they're doing before they give themselves permission to celebrate, when it's really about celebrating every little step along the way. That just raises your vibration, and it encourages you to do it, the next step. And then you have that huge celebration at the end. So I love that piece.
And in the science realm, it also releases a little bit of dopamine, right?
It always
feels good.
More confidence, right? So.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the celebration as well, Lorraine, and I can say, as a hardworking entrepreneur, right, as we all are, that's something that I can very easily just put off to never, right?
Me too.
And it also, because I get my expectations so high, I'm not willing to celebrate the little stuff. It's kind of like, yeah, I'll celebrate when I'm done, right? Well, we never get done. So when's the celebration, right? And like Teresa said, you kind of promise yourself, I'm going to work 25 minutes really hard, and then I'm going to take a break, and so I'm employing that technique myself these days, is saying, okay, all I got to do right now, I just finished writing that chapter for a book, and it was kind of like, well, get the intro, and then you can take a walk. Do this, and then you can. And I'm employing to that monkey mind again, saying, okay, my 17-year-old unruly little monkey mind needs a treat, so give it to him. And picture it, like Terry said, it's like, okay, good. And then I know what I'm going to get, where I'm going to go. And it really helps. And I love the whole celebration. And oddly, something I had to really learn to celebrate.
I'm not sure society teaches us to celebrate little things. They teach us to celebrate milestones. And oftentimes those neurotransmitters don't work as well on those little things. It's not like it doesn't deserve a celebration yet, but each of us have our own unique designs. And so what was a big step for me might have been super easy for Teresa. And what it might have been, like Kathleen didn't even think about it. It just happened. And saying that is to stop and recognize your celebrations, as Terry's sharing on there, are important because they're yours. They're what you need to celebrate, not what someone else needs to celebrate. I think sometimes when people have new babies now, you see a picture of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, 1 month, and then, all the way through. And yet when we get to be older, they celebrate decades. instead of even years. And
True.
sometimes there's some times in there that we all need a little celebration, you know. We did something where we were, but we have to stop and give that to ourselves. And so Teresa's point, I mean, Terry's point on us giving our celebrations to ourselves, or even us asking those around us to help us celebrate those little things is wonderful, because we compare ourselves to society, and Jane Doe didn't need somebody to help her feel good about blah, blah, blah. But gosh, I sure needed someone to say that was a good job, Gina. So
I really liked what Terry had to say too about the visualization and bringing your emotion into it. And I think that's such an important part of things. And maybe even the piece of what will I do to celebrate getting this next little bit done. So yeah, I love what you had to say, Terry. It's good.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Doing the visualization, thinking of what, what are the words people are going to say to me when they see what I've created? What will I say to myself? So hearing those things, seeing those things, any kind of tactile imagery, any way you can use your senses while you're creating that image is very, very helpful for the mind to solidify what you want to get done.
So incredible. And you know what? Speaking of celebration, I wanted to conclude today's series talking about gratitude, because I think if we all made a conscious effort to be grateful, our lives will just be incredible. So many possibilities will open up, so many opportunities, so much will happen. I know myself, I can't, it's endless how many times that I have been able to directly relate being grateful to a positive outcome of something else. And I know that I and my husband, we write in our gratitude journal every night, celebrating those small successes. That's the time to do it every day. Think about all the little small successes that happened that day and why you're so grateful about it. What does everybody else have to say about gratitude? Do you feel that it has a role in the success of our business, and why is that?
I'm going to do my 30 seconds. So 30 seconds. Gratitude reduces the amount of inflammation, C-reactive proteins in our body. Gratitude and fear cannot live in the same space. Gratitude shifts our mindset into what we want more of, not what we have less of. Law of attraction, bring in what you want, have more, be grateful. That's my 30 seconds.
Love that. Was beautiful, Teresa. I love that. I agree completely with all those things you said. And I really love the idea of gratitude as what they say, it's really an attitude that we adopt, right, throughout our lives. And if we can think of it in our business specifically, it really helps to create that human connection that we want to maintain and engage people, and being vulnerable and authentic, and being able to say, from your heart, thank you so much for whatever this was that you did for me. I can't tell you what that meant to me in my life, and then tell them what it meant to you. It's amazing.
That's beautiful.
And
I love
it feels good, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to talk
how we feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd like to talk about, gratitude. I love it. I have bookends. I gratitude in the morning and I gratitude in the evening. But there's also that piece of, people think, what about, how can you be grateful for something that's negative or bad that happens? But the other side of gratitude is appreciation. You can always appreciate the opportunity or the lesson that you learned from something that was deemed negative, and having that appreciation shifts it from being something negative to something that you learned, and it gives you that opportunity to grow from it. So I love that addition to it, that gratitude, appreciation.
It's a great point. Yeah, Daniel says, I'm sorry, I'll just quickly say what Daniel says. Gratitude is the absolute key, Susan. Expressing gratitude and setting intentions creates such an abundance and happiness and positive outcomes. One of my favorite parts of the day is writing in my gratitude journal, as it truly opens my mind. Yeah.
Mm.
So
I-
audience members, I know somebody wants to say, I just
That's
want to make sure if you're watching this, whether it's live or in the replay, please let us know what you practice in terms of gratitude. How has gratitude helped you in your life and your business? What do you do to practice gratitude? Let's read that in the comments. So go ahead.
I was just going to say that I find for me that gratitude works the best when I literally see it as I want more of this, please. I want more of this, please. I want, you know, I want a comfortable bed, more of this, please. And I would like whatever it is I'm seeking. If I can say I'm thankful for that and more of this, please, then I start seeing the positive the neurotransmitters in our brains start flowing towards that place, and we start, as Teresa said, going towards the law of attraction. We attract getting more of this, please. Sometimes it's okay just to ignore the things that are not going so well if that wasn't exactly the way you want it to be. But go to stop and look at what did work and say, more of that, please. And it's another way of saying gratitude for those of you who have a hard time of writing a gratitude journal. But I do a more of this, please, every morning and every night. And it was whatever it may have been. What if there was a big as Terry talked about, a successful thing that occurred, then I can stop and give myself that little bitty celebrate success by asking more of this, please. And that has been a big turning point for me in my life. And sometimes when life has been at some really critical points of when it didn't seem like there was much to be grateful for, but there was when I started seeing the little things I already could be grateful for. And then there were more things started showing up. Creators started showing me signs, and I started going there. So totally there. It's and I think it's more of what Lorraine said, perhaps is it's gratitude, but it's the appreciation of what we do have and appreciation of what we've learned. It's much easier for me to look back, someone in my mid 60s looking back at my 30s and appreciating what I learned from those lessons and being able to even say, thank you for that. It's okay if I don't experience it again, but thank you for helping me have this opportunity to know what I know so I'm not doing repeating patterns. And the gratitude of some of the things that happened in my life have come much more in the last 5 years than they did ever before, just because there's so much. I really love where life is going now. And it has been more of that came from gratitude of more of this, please. Thank you for this opportunity to be on this show, this podcast with these beautiful women, Susan. This is such a pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you. And I love that. More of that, please. I've got to write that down because I'm going to use that in my journal. Thank you. Yeah. So does anybody have any last minute tips about gratitude or any last closing comments before we wrap things up?
You had the power all along. You had the power all along.
Right.
I've got some ruby slippers back here.
Exactly right.
My magic wand acknowledges and honors your ruby slippers. Namaste.
It all lies within. That's right.
I love Dr. Gina's more of that, please. And I'd just like to throw another reminder in for that conscious language again. And, something that really shows gratitude in anything that you're doing. And instead of what I have to do, I have to go get my kids. I have to go to the store. I have to write this. I have to meet this stuff. How about I get to?
Yeah.
How about I get to? I mean, how many moms and entrepreneurs are out there trying to juggle 50 things at one time? And we all are, right? And what if you just could reframe that into, I get to go pick up my kids because I am an entrepreneur, because I get to control my schedule, because I get to, work independently, whatever it is. And when you start that energy of I get to, it's kind of just what Dr. Gina said. What else do I get to do? What else do I get to do? And I get to create. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And thank you, Susan, so much for bringing everybody together. We all do things slightly different, I think. We all have our own methods, but what we're all doing is rooting for your success. We're all out here helping you, wanting to be part of it and wanting to grow together so that we can make a difference in the world. And I'm really happy to have got to know everybody and got to be on this with all of you. Thank you.
Likewise.
I love what you said, Kathleen. I get to, that shifts the vibration right there. And really, we don't realize what we have until it's lost. But if we learn to realize that I get to do this, I get to help people, I get to connect with amazing people like you. And yes, I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, so much.
You're so welcome. And talking about gratitude, I'm literally got goosebumps right now. I'm just so grateful that each and every one of you came into my life. I want to preface, like, I didn't know any of you before I sent out an intention that I wanted to work with people who were experts in helping entrepreneurs overcome their roadblocks and challenges. And all of you beautifully came into my sphere, and it all just happened so wonderfully and smoothly. And I absolutely knew that this was exactly what I needed to do. And I just hope and trust and pray that you, the audience, has benefited greatly from this series and from today's episode. And as I said at the beginning of the show, all of this is available to you to watch in the replay mode, just in case you missed the live shows. And immense gratitude to each of you. And I really hope that maybe we should create something together again, because I think that we are all in such synchronicity. We all have the same intention, that we are all here to help you, the viewer, create success in your life and in your business easily and effortlessly. It doesn't have to be such a challenge. All you need to know is that you're not alone. You've got help. You've got us here to help and support you so that you can achieve what you want to achieve and do what you set out to do and be in purpose in your business so that you can make a difference in other people's lives. Just as that's why we are here. We are here because we want to make a difference in your life. So thank you, thank you, thank you. More of this, please. And on that, I'm going to say thank you again. And I wish you all well. Please look in the comments for everybody's free giveaway, because they are all invaluable and they will all help you. And I'm just going to conclude with, please lead your life with kindness, not only for others, but for yourself. That's it. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.